You could be getting weaker just because of the way you breathe. Now, a lot of people are going to think, hearing that, what are you talking about? I breathe all the time. It's probably fine. But the truth is, with intentionality to how we breathe, we're going to be able to be stronger, be more technically efficient, have more endurance, and recover faster, not only between events, but between sets in our training, between workouts day to day, week to week, month to month, cycle to cycle. So it's very important that we have an understanding of how to breathe to maximize our capabilities in strongman. So breathing, when we boil this all down, it's all about a few things. It's really about sending our breath deep into our core, all the way around in our abdominal muscles, so that we have stability. We're able to lock in and hold tight in our technique, and we have efficient force transfer. That means putting all of our power in the right direction that it's supposed to go. So if we lose our core strength and we're even a little bit out of alignment, we are just not sending our strength in the right direction. Now, with our core, our stability, all of that control, we're also manipulating our nervous system. Strongman, is very important to understand where you need to be very highly aroused and where you need to be more composed and calm. There are different times when you need different states of arousal. There's some things where you can just fully redline and just go absolutely nuts. But there are other things where you need to be very cool, calm, and composed. And being able to flip the switch or shift from this to that on all ends of the spectrum is really going to help you maximize your points and get the most out of your training and competitions. And finally, we want to be in control of our output, right? When we are being efficient, when we have our core and our technique and all of this working for us, we're going to be able to display power, reduce and slow the onset of fatigue, and then also kickstart and improve our recovery. So let's just dig right into the different ways you might need to breathe for all of these things. Starting with a 1 rep max, right? All of the things we're going to talk about is how can we get our core really strong and turned on, right? For a 1 rep max, what we want to do is take a big breath in that is synced with getting tight on the bar. Let's use a deadlift, for example. We want to pull the slack so that our body is braced, our core is turned on, and we are connected to that piece of equipment so that we are strong, stable, and ready to lift with power. So use a big inhale, send it all into your core, right? And if you don't really know how to brace, a very simple way to start and just understand it is think about if somebody was going to punch you in the gut, you pull your stomach in, but at the same time expand out, and your breath would shorten a little bit. I mean, you can hear it as I'm talking to you right now. Imagine how you would hold there, but with that big breath in. Packed, okay? So we use that to tighten and amp up our brace. If you wear a belt, you're gonna have really good tactile reinforcement with that belt to just elevate that braced experience. Now, with the 1 rep max, what you wanna do is have that breath in and then use it to either blast through a sticking point on the exhale or just exhale at the top. So you're either maintaining your brace the whole way through to be smooth and efficient, or let's use deadlift example again, your sticking points at the knee. You get that breath in, and you're going to stall out of the knee. By having a rapid breath out, what that can do is keep your core kicked on, but give you a mental trigger and signal to your body that it's time to shift things into a different mode, to slam the gas just a little bit. So that is something that works really, really well with a sticking point is rapid breath out, because we're not just using an inhale to turn our core on, but we're using that exhale as well. Again, this is all about filling your whole abdominal wall with air so that everything in our core is as strong as possible so you can lift to the highest level. When we are doing rep outs, we're using that inhale, exhale in synchronization with your reps. Now, let's just start with a very high rep effort, right? I've done 20 to 30 plus reps in a 60-second event sometimes. And what I would do is sync that up so that I am exhaling on the way up. That means I have my breath and my inhale at the bottom, inhaling on the way down. So by the time I'm back at my starting position, I have this big inhale hard brace at the very bottom, and I can just sink in and out, right? So right? So we're keeping that rhythm. Now, if this is something where maybe you're getting 3 to 4 reps over a 60-second period, you'd want to use more of this 1 rep max technique, okay? So just take your time, work through it. You should know and have an understanding of what you're going to be capable of in that event. So just treat it appropriately. Now, moving events are going to work similarly to your rep outs, but this is covering anything from something that's very fast to something that's on the slower end. If we're doing, let's just say yokes, for example, a very quick, speedy event, what I really recommend is to use these same breathing techniques, but fast and rapid. Let's try to do them so quick that you are syncing your feet up and actually giving your feet a cue to go a little faster. Now, with our position, we always set up, get tight, get set, but as soon as you are starting to move, keep your core engaged and strong with rapid inhale, exhale. So that would look like, now this may look ridiculous to some, but I challenge you right now to try this on your own if you have never done this. Just start on the slower end, take a really big breath in, and I want you to visualize that all of these muscles are pulling up to get all of that energy up. And as you exhale, it's sending down. And even think about on the exhale, this is a really good way to mentally connect to your obliques, is send a really big, deep exhale out and think like you have 10% more breath out to push than possible. And just consciously be aware of your obliques. You can turn them on really well doing this. So do it just like that. But we want to apply that to our moving events when quick to just get moving fast. A lot of people tend to hold their breaths on things like yokes, but we don't want to be in a place where, let's say we slip and we have an error with our technique, right? If we have to, take like a gasp for air or we have to reset, you're probably going to be huffing and puffing at that point. And this is kind of getting back to what we started at the top. You're losing the ability to transfer your force in the right direction because you no longer have the same stability. You might have too high levels of arousal. You'll lose a little bit of focus. You're just becoming less efficient and your power output is not where you want it to be. So when it's slower, sink to your feet again. Big deep breaths in and out. Just be rhythmic with it, because what we're looking to do with all of this is subconsciously make these a part of our good habits, right? We want to get in a way where our breathing is assisting us and helping us. And when we do this enough, then we can turn our focuses into next level cues that are going to just allow you to lift harder. But more on that in a second. Now, moving down into holds, this is totally different than all these other things. We want to be very cool, calm, and composed. I want you to think about what Mark Felix looks like on the Hercules hold. Zen meditative-like state is what it looks like. He is just standing there, totally calm face. But if you pay attention, he's breathing very slowly and steadily. He might even be breathing through his nose. I can't think off the top of my head, but you do not see him going. Now, at some point, your heart rate's going up. The effort's getting high. You are going to have that point to where you're really struggling, but you can prolong that response. You can have a lot of strength still in you if you just keep your heart rate low, you keep your focus and arousal where it needs to be, by being calm and controlled with your breath. So holds, whether it's a front hold out in front, Hercules hold, farmer's hold, sandbag hold, it doesn't matter. We need to be calm and relaxed with that so we can maximize our time. All right, now finally, recovery between sets and between events. With recovery, our goal is to drop out of this very aroused state as quick as possible. Now, of course, in between training sessions, we're not going to completely drop out of it, but we don't want to just like sit there hyperventilating over and over. That is just sapping energy and is going to make the rest of your session worse. Now, obviously, that's the same for events. You know, if you're competing, you have a very high alert, aroused event one, you don't want to just stay up at this very super high level. You want to drop down and flip the switch. So you should be very intentional about trying to breathe slowly and controlled so that you can, once again, bring your focus to where it needs to be so you're ready to go for the next event, right? All elite athletes are good at having this ability to flip the switch, right? To go from very alert and aroused to calm and relaxed. If you want to be good at this sport or really anything in general, you need to also have that trained ability. This is shifting from what we call the sympathetic to the parasympathetic state. This is just basically very aroused and alert and relaxed and resting. And this is super important in strongman because we have to have periods of both. These work together. You need to be able to have, you know, the high alert, the sympathetic type states where you are strength training, doing conditioning, doing your cardio, doing all of that. But you only get results from that if you shift well into the parasympathetic. That is the rest, relax, recover state. So deep sleep, this and that. As I said, all elite athletes have the ability to flip the switch on that. This is at some level what the HRV number is telling you. Now, HRV is very trendy, but it's your heart rate variability. And it is actually a measure of how different your heartbeat is from beat to beat. You know, if you have a 60 beats per minute heart rate, it's actually not specifically exactly once every second. There is variability to it, okay? Now, this isn't something you need to totally obsess over because everybody scores a little individual and different, but if you track this with a Whoop, an Apple Watch, smartwatch, any of that stuff, we do want to try and improve that over time because it is a reading more or less of your ability to tap in and out of sympathetic to parasympathetic. We should be able to shift states very well if we want to be top level athletes. So when we're doing all of this, we can enhance our ability to perform and breathe well in strongman by separately practicing breath work. Okay. Now, if you want to learn more about breath work, check out my free strongman community club, strongman.com, where we break into all of these things in further detail and tell you how to apply them and when. But let's give you like a little quick overview about what they are, right? Wim Hof is a series of rapid inhales and exhales followed by a breath hold. So this is raising your energy and alertness up and then calming it down with the breath holds. Okay, so think about that's just like we were talking about with like a moving event and then dipping into recovery, right? Wim Hof, just like I was talking about on a fast yoke or a fast moving event, it is literally okay. So that is a little more energizing. There are other methods. This is also called TUMO, TUMMO, but we can focus and kind of get our recovery kickstarted better with things like pranayama, which is just a 4-7-8 pattern. That's 4 seconds in, 7 seconds of a breath hold, 8 seconds out slowly, just repeating. Coherence, 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out, just conscious, steady control. And then box breathing is a pretty famous one. This is taught by Navy SEALs to lower their heart rate. It is 4 seconds in, 4-second hold, 4 seconds out, 4-second hold, just repeating, right? Now, if you want to just kind of start getting into this, I'd really recommend the box or the pranayama. Again, that's 4-7-8, 4 seconds in, 7 hold, 8 out. or box 4-4-4-4, in, hold, out, hold. Just try for 3 to 5 minutes, calm yourself, maybe before you go to bed, give it a go. Now, when we do this separately, outside of training, our goal is to be able to subconsciously and automatically turn these things on to where we don't have to be, super conscious and aware of this all the time. This is unconscious competence, right? So just like when you're training anything with technique, at first you have to really think about all of these little minute details on, okay, well, my feet go here, my hands go here, I have to tighten and brace my arms like this, I have to lift my chest and then bring my shoulders and then tuck my chin. But over time, you just do all of those things automatically. That's what doing this breath work can enhance and get you better at rapidly, is automatically understanding how you're supposed to breathe and when during your different types of strongman events and training. So when you do that, as I touched on earlier, then you have a better time tapping into next level cues and actions. So if your breathing is spot on, your technique is spot on, let's just say again, deadlifts, then we can really focus on something like power or explosiveness or violent lockout. Or if it's something like a sandbag throw, we can just put more focus into our aim and our technique and our just flawless execution of the event, right? Or if it's a yoke, we can focus on just running smooth all the way through the line because we know our technique is square, because our breathing is good. We're going to do just fine. All we have to do is show up and execute and make sure we don't make mistakes. So if you want to learn more about this, check out clubstrongman.com, free community. It's going to teach you everything you know about how to level up, get a big advantage over your opponents by mastering these little elements that most people don't think about. And if you like this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, stay strong, and have a championship day.